The Pokémon franchise is one of the most profitable intellectual properties to ever exist. With a total valuation of over $90 billion with a B, they absolutely dominate on the cultural front. You would be hard-pressed to find someone who hadn't heard of at least Pikachu.
There's no question in your mind. You're sure one.
Don't ask me again!
This dominance allows them to expand into many different genres and mediums beyond just the video games that they started with. Toys, cartoons, even food and beverage. One of these ventures being the physical tabletop. One of their flagships, the Pokémon TCG. It's a game at some point that we all have played at least once, whether that be because you enjoy the game or because you thought the cards just looked cool. Whether you enjoy the hobby now or thought it died 10 years ago, this is the slow and gradual decline of the Pokémon TCG. Now, I'm not even that invested into collecting the Pokémon cards, as much as when I was a kid. But I'm sure most of us have that shared experience of at least having one and thinking it looked cool. You may think back to a time when you were a child playing the Pokémon TCG. Likely as a middle schooler, you were playing the game wrong, but who cared as long as you had fun? No strategies or metas, no having to chase for specific cards. If the art looked cool, it went in the deck. Granted, nowadays, you're more than likely to find someone who collects them exclusively rather than actually playing the game, which is kind of annoying because it really feels like the only place you can get any sort of a consistent match is through the online OCG. While there certainly isn't anything wrong with collecting the cards, it is a signifier of one of the biggest pitfalls of the TCG. The change in how we interacted with the cards. It's not like in the past where we would just play the game to have fun. Nowadays, it suffers from being a business venture. Not business in the traditional sense, business as in the second-hand market. To the point where if a card is not printed enough, some of the worst will capitalize on it. Scalpers. These guys are some of the most corrosive consumers you can find in any hobby. Video games, hardware, freaking concerts, bro. They never inherently bring any value to them that didn't already exist. They just act as like sneaky little middlemen that artificially drive up prices. It's surprisingly a lot more common now in most TCGs like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! For like slightly different reasons, like don't even get me started on Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you have people that both play and collect the cards cross-cannibalizing each other. But back to Pokemon. A normal player is denied access to the game, collectors or otherwise, because scalping is not like a normal business venture. Where a normal mom and pop comic book shop or like a GameStop wholesales booster packs and box sets, scalpers only care for whatever the flavor of the month card is, because they see it as nothing more than an investment. Essentially what every crypto bro wishes they could be. Cards that are otherwise obtainable to the average person are pried from them because some guy who cares nothing for collecting them just wants to sell them. For most people, we only really care because the cards just look cool. If you don't want 90 other random cards looking for 1 Terra Pikachu, your only option was to buy it directly, for an exorbitant price of 500 American ungraded at its peak. Almost $2 grand for a PSA 10. Needless to say, a bit out of the pricing budget for anyone looking to just passively collect cards. This eventually leaving to only one other option, the old-fashioned way. Walking into a brick and mortar store and just buying hoping for a pull. But even that is questionable at best. Scalpers will walk in and buy up all of the stock in the store all at once, meaning for most people, this isn't even a viable option. You have mega corporate chains like Walmart actively having to limit how many a single person could buy just to prevent this sort of scalping. Other times, scalpers within these stores begin fighting over what little stock is left, clearing them out. While it is kind of funny to see 2 grown adults fighting over Pokemon cards, it does speak to the state we're in when neither of these two care for the game. But what makes it worse is that even for people that don't collect, ones that actually play the game, it's damn near impossible to get their hands on a new box set, especially when meta-defining cards are behind them. Yet, it still gets worse because there are some out there that actively defend these sorts of practices.
Am I the only Pokemon collector who actually hates the idea of reprints? Reprints hurt the collectors as much as they hurt the scalpers. So I pulled the 151 Charizard, and that's a sick card. It's going for around $900 PSA 10. But that's not the only reason why it's cool. It's cool because not everyone has it. It's a rare card. And if they print 151 to the ground, it's no longer going to be a rare card and everyone will have it. And then somewhere along the line of reprints, scalpers might stop buying it and reselling it if they actually reprint enough to drive the price down that much. So if the reprints are actually successful and stop scalping, that means the cards are worthless and it hurts collectors too.
Simply put, no one, and I mean no one, cares for the rarity or value of a card. If it looks cool, they won't care if it's something super secret rare or like a 3-cent common. But there are people that argue that part of the appeal in them is that rarity. I only want it because other people can't have it. Personally, I just don't get it. How is it that someone can unironically come out and say the fact that you don't have it means I like it more? Like sure, in a standard business sense that might be true, but this only matters for people looking to resell them. Though I'm not gonna lie, seeing people tweak out over whatnot is kind of funny. In the past, it's not like they were that hard to come by. This problem still existed, but it was nowhere near the magnitude that it is now. But all of that changed once everyone's favorite got involved. Though I'm not gonna lie, this dude simply saying get the 151 set caused it to explode in popularity, which in hindsight is kind of crazy to think about, but I'm more than willing to bet it's because it showed people reselling them was a killer market, for better or worse. Then combine that with the TCG Pocket boom that came a little while after, and suddenly people who had otherwise no interest in collecting them are now introduced into the hobby, and that's always a good thing in my book. Better accessibility, even if it's through a more casual lens, is totally fine. The issue here is all the stuff that immediately trails behind it. In true crypto bro fashion, you have people pumping and dumping some cards by buying them to make you think it's popular, only to dump them for like 100x the price for a card no one ever thought was valuable. They just needed to sucker you long enough to think you were making a good investment. Which, I guess is kind of bad, but how exactly are we even supposed to solve for this? All of this is contextualized around the secondhand market, so is it even solvable? The only real solution to prevent scalping is a market flood. The more you produce something, the easier it is to get into people's hands, thus the harder it is to scalp. Scalpers can absolutely eat dirt. But I don't really see that happening because if the price drops low enough, people just stop buying the sets and just buy the chase card. Which, in hindsight, does hurt the company because they don't make any money off of those secondhand sales. Because it's not like tech and hardware where they sell you at a loss and then just make it back up in some other sort of way. They have to try way harder to stop scalping because 500 GPUs sitting in a warehouse or a PS5 sitting in some guy's basement actively loses them money. For now, we can only really hope that places like Walmart maybe give like a 3 per person limit on a box set, but there's not much we can do on the ground floor, apart from just wait until the price drops before searching for a card.